Hello and welcome. The project I'm exploring is slowly starting to take shape. Um, I'm Mike. I have been on a journey to do a lot of writing, and so my partner has given me prompts, and so I want to capture. Um, Not only what I want to share, but voices of the community. But I don't want it to be, um, I don't know. I don't think produce is the right word, but like I don't want to overthink it. And so I've been developing prompts, finding prompts, and it. I'm thinking of it as like the note card project, or note card project. And so I'm giving myself to write down 3 points on the topic of the day. And then, when I talk to other people in the community, we'll do the same thing. We'll have general questions. I don't want it to be, I don't want people to have to overthink things, but, they can jot notes on a note card and share what they're thinking. And before we get started, I got a sticker from Brightside Produce. These folks are awesome. They deliver fresh produce to our community on a pay what you can model, with the understanding that there's a lot of people in our community that don't have access to fresh and healthy food. So they're really trying to make sure that they get out into the community, especially the food deserts, where there's not grocery stores available, getting into the smaller markets and make sure people can have access at low or no cost. And so I just wanted to say thank you to them. So the prompt that I drew today is time. Right? What a fascinating topic. And I took a few breaths and took my handy dandy pen to the note card. And, a lot of times I think of these prompts as, what do I want to communicate to my 13-year-old son? So you'll notice when I'm talking, perhaps I forget the audience that I'm intending this for, and that's okay. I really don't want this to be quote unquote scripted. And so things that I want to embody personally and things that I want to pass along to my 13-year-old son. What came to mind with time is there's this mystery, awe, and wonder with how time works. And then there's a real panic and a real fear because, I think of time, as the day I was born to the day, whether it's later today or years away to when I die. It's very linear. So I'm trying to open up my mind to rethink that. And, what was I before this existence? What was I after this existence? I love to study philosophy from all cultures. And so am I even an I? What does time look like? And we have, so much good stuff out there in books, in media, and philosophy, and movies. But how does that show up practically for me? And so what I'm inviting myself to do and sharing with others is simply to notice time. Notice when I think I have all the time in the world to do all the things. Like, I'll do this next year, or I'll do this once I have enough money, then I'll do this, or thinking that the time will always be available, and recognizing that likely won't be the case. I will never have enough time to do everything that I want, and so it's an opportunity for me to think about that and think what can I prioritize. Oliver Berkman is one of my favorite authors. He talks about the thing that you want to do, really try to front load it to the beginning of the day. And so this is one of them. It's like, I'm going to now create more time in the morning to do this before I get to the other things. And we always think that we need to cross off all the stuff on our to-do list to get to the things we want to do. And like, I don't know about you, but if I have to knock out all the things that I have to do before the things I want to do, I just don't get to it. And so I'm really trying to be conscientious that, my time is limited, while I'll try and to understand that also it may be infinite. But just for the very practical purpose, don't hesitate. I'm trying not to hesitate to do the things that are a priority, and not always saying, well, I'll do that next week, or I'll take that trip next year. It's been helpful. And the way I think of it, from my son's perspective, is you think you got all the time in the world. And that is good. And I don't want to interfere with that necessarily. And then, so I guess the first point would be relationship with time. Yeah, the idea with this project is I don't necessarily want it to be super organized. I want some of this stuff to be more organic. And the next point I put on my note card is the past, and the future. Of course, I can get anxiety about what's happening next. But I'm working on taking responsibility for the things I did in the past, but also applying a sense of grace, a sense of love, and sense of compassion to who I was when I was 7, 16, 24, 35. I think it's very important that, in my life, I do try to give grace to others. I try to really embody mercy and patience and grace and love. And I'm trying to apply that to former versions of myself. And it's not always easy. I can sure as hell beat myself up for things that I've done and, harm that I've caused. And so I'm trying to have, I know there's so many philosophies out there that say the past doesn't exist anymore. But the consequences of decisions I've made, those are going to continue to ripple, right? And so what I try to do now is take the lessons learned, and just change the ripple. I've heard this, do the next right thing. And so taking responsibility, not giving myself any excuses, taking responsibility, but giving myself grace, love, and compassion for the past, knowing that each day I am intentionally trying to cause less harm. So the first point I had was this unique relationship with time, the delight and the terror. And then point number 2 I wrote down was the past, my relationship with the past. And, and of course not being, maybe that'll be for a different note card, but not being anxious or trying to control the future. Ooh, that'll be another prompt. But I put rush. I notice when I'm trying to rush to the next thing instead of being with the thing that I'm doing. Like, am I rushing to commute somewhere? Am I rushing to get the dog outside, get the dishes done so that I can get to bed? Or maybe I'm in communication with someone and I'm really not present and I'm trying to rush to it. So that I'm getting to the next thing. And so for me, what's resonating is I'm trying to look at these transition moments, even like small throughout my day, like my coffee with my mug from Pillar Forum, a great local Minneapolis coffee shop. Am I sitting and not just rushing through my coffee so I get the caffeine boost so I can go to work, but this is where life is. This is where life happens, and being intentional and mindful and aware of it, being aware in the transitions. And so I'm not rushing to the next thing. If I'm cooking, I'm slowing down, being with the process and enjoying it. I mean, same with doing the dishes. Thich Nhat Hanh talks about doing the dishes as a meditation, feeling the warm water, noticing the soap, and just being that, like maybe turning music on or maybe turning all the sounds off and just noticing, just allowing yourself to be present when you're doing the dishes. In the evening, I have a wonderful dog named Dolly Barkton, and I take her out. And so what I've started doing is I just notice the stars. I have an app where I can see which stars are it. And so that what used to be a pain in the ass moment is now a moment to just enjoy. And then, because guess what? When I'm rushing through it, it doesn't make the dog go to the bathroom any faster. I know I've felt like I'm losing my mind because I'm rushing and I'm trying to get the dog to go to the bathroom. And here I am with another mammal on a string, like pleading for it to go to the bathroom. I'm like, how ridiculous is that? And surrendering to the natural way things flow with time. And the more I try to control and squeeze, it's just not helpful. And so trying not to rush the things so that I can get to the next thing, and notice that is where life is lived, because everything's transition. We're always going from the thing to the thing to the thing. But if I'm going to the next thing, I'm not in this thing. Right? Yeah. So this is the one note card project. Maybe that's where this will go. I'm not in a rush to see where it's going to go. I'm trying to just be with it, trying to practice what I preach, but the prompt was on time and having that relationship with it, noticing when I'm really terrified that time feels limited, or noticing when it feels more delightful and expansive, using tools like meditation and mindfulness. Healthy relationship with my past was point 2, like looking back in time and giving myself grace and mercy, but still accountability, and where I can make harms right or better or minimize. And then not rushing. I rush through all these transition points, whether it's commuting, maybe even being in conversation with other people so that I can hurry up and get to the next thing, and just really slowing that down being present. Yeah. Well, this project's going to continue to evolve. Thanks for checking it out. I'm gonna invite other folks to chat about this. I'll give them the note card, the prompt, the note card. The general theme is love and showing up in community, but we're gonna go with the flow and see how this evolves. So, yeah. Thanks for listening.